The purpose of this video is to go through Lani Pallister's 400 meter freestyle technique. Now Lani has got a really distinctive freestyle characterized by a high stroke rate and a 2-beat balance style kick. She is one of the best women in the world at her craft, so let's have a look at what she does so well. When I like to look at an athlete's freestyle, there's almost like a tick box to go through, an assessment, and I like to look at the inside out. So when we do that approach, we first look at the inside, so the breathing technique. Lani has a 2 style breath, so she breathes every 2. In the women's 400, this is really important. There is just so much oxygen consumption required for this type of event. So by breathing every 2, she's getting enough fuel for those muscles for the rest of that event. When we're looking at breathing, there's 3 things that we want to look at. The first is kind of the timing of the exhale. One of the most common challenges in swimming is actually getting rid of carbon dioxide to take that fast inhale. We can see straight away that she has a great exhale. So you can see big bubble stream, takes that breath, and immediately there's just a constant exhale. Managing to get that air out allows Lani not only to get rid of her carbon dioxide, but it means that she can take a really fast inhale. And you can see that from this shot here. There's no stoppage in that rhythm. She's just breathing, and there's this beautiful rhythm to her freestyle. Again, that is really challenging with a frequent breathing style. Often the breathing arm creates a lot of issues in freestyle, causing the arm to drop or move a certain way. But Lani has no hesitation. She's got a great exhale that allows her to breathe quickly. So the first, the timing of the exhale. The second is the frequency of the breath, and we've already talked about that, every 2. The third is the position. And this is a great shot here of Lani. You can see she's got a split vision freestyle. So you see here, we can only see one goggle. When that happens, Lani's really horizontal in the water, meaning that she maintains her horizontal line. If the head lifted up a bit higher, it's likely that that horizontal position is going to drop and she won't be as streamlined. So in breathing, we want to look at the timing of the exhale, the frequency of the breath, so how often you roll to breathe, and the position. This is just a masterclass in freestyle breathing. The other thing I would say about Lani's breathing is that she actually whips the head down really quickly, and I think this helps with a bit of propulsion on the other side of her stroke. When we're assessing inside out, the next key point is the core. Often not an aspect of the freestyle technique many people think about. Your abdominal engagement and the way that you use your core muscles impacts your freestyle so much. Now, while we can't see what Lani's doing with her core, what we can see is her body position. Look at how high her hips are here. They are basically grazing the surface. And she's only kicking twice. Often with a 2-beat kick style, the hips will drop because there's not enough speed or the belly is relaxing. So we can't assess the abdominal engagement, but we can see the body position. And the rotation and the rhythm of Lani's freestyle makes me think that she is just perfectly timing that core activation and getting that serape effect, or that connection from one shoulder to the opposite hip. The next key thing to think about is rotation. So you can see that Lani does rotate side to side and the hips are opening up, but you can see the key here is that arm is still pointing forward. A lot of time, if we over rotate, that causes the arm to kind of cross the center line or skew out. The hips are rotating, I wouldn't say all the way to 90, it's difficult from this angle, but you can see that there's a beautiful rotation here and the hips are really central to driving that stroke. Once we've considered the breathing, the core activation, the head position, and the rotation, we go into the pull. Oops, I forgot to talk about the head position. So this is actually really quite unique between these 2 top swimmers. Lani has got a very much downward facing head position, while Erica has a bit more of a forward facing position. Now both of these women are absolutely incredible 400 meter freestyle swimmers, but look at the difference here. Lani looks a lot more down than Erica, who's got a more forward facing position with her head. Neither of these styles are wrong, they work for each athlete individually. The key with head position, and let's find a better shot. Now this is a great shot of Lani's head position. If you just watch how hard she whips her head down after that breath, you can see it actually helps with the power of that stroke. But the head position is quite different between Erica and Lani. So if we look here, we can see that Lani has got a very downward facing head position, so the eyes are kind of looking down, whereas Erica is a lot more forward. Neither of these styles are wrong, they work individually. And that's what's so unique about freestyle and swimming in general. There are a lot of ways to swim fast. The key with head position is the body position. So if you're not sure where to look, both of these women have got a very horizontal body position. There's not much drag, making them very efficient. If you're new to swimming and decide that you want a more forward-facing head position, just make sure you know what the legs are doing. If they are dropping, it might be better to get the eyes pointed further down. But I love this shot because it just shows how different athletes can swim and still swim fast. So if we zoom out and put this in really slow-mo, so Lani snaps those eyes down, eyes to the floor, whereas Erica keeps a more forward-facing position. Alrighty, so now let's go into the pool. Lani does a couple of really cool things in her freestyle. The first, you can see from this top shot, there is no hesitation on that entry. It is aggressive, it is high octane, and it is very effective. But the one thing I want you to focus on here is actually the speed of the exit as well. How quickly and the position of our hand coming out of the water impacts our capacity to increase our stroke rate. Now Lani holds over a 90 stroke rate in her 400 freestyle, but you watch how that hand kind of whips out really fast. I think this is key to her actually holding that high stroke rate. You can see that the hand actually does a slight slice out the back, meaning that the palm turns towards the thigh and allows Lani to get a very fast exit out of the water. So if we have a look at this shot here, it's a little bit blurry, but the hand turns slightly inwards, allowing her to get that arm out really, really quickly. So there's a slight turn in and no hesitation. In freestyle, we want to go from slow to fast, soft to strong. And you can see here that hand kind of whips out. If we have a look at one of these shots, we're going to be able to see the hand turning inwards as it exits the water. You can see the fingers kind of pointing us, facing at us here. That's quite a good shot here. So we're watching that arm come through. It slightly turns towards the thigh and allows her to whip that arm out. Now this shot also shows us one of the things that makes Lani so fast. She gets into her catch position so quickly. This is a really difficult skill. So you watch as that arm enters, she's straight into that high elbow position, and you can really see here that power diamond. So at the moment, all of that water is being pressed back to the back wall, but you can see how quickly she is able to get into a point of propulsion. What I find quite interesting, if you look at Lani's left and right pull, her right side, which is actually her breathing arm, actually holds so much water. So you can see here the stroke path on the right is very straight and strong. So if we go back and you're just focusing on the right stroke, watch how straight and strong it pulls. The stroke path does not change. Interestingly, if we go back and have a look at the other side, so now we're focusing on the left stroke, you'll actually see that there is a slight change in direction in that left. So you can see at this point here, Lani enters, holding that water, and there's a slight inwards at this point. Now, I think that change in direction actually allows Lani to get that rotation for the breath. So that left arm is coming through, there's a slight inward position, slicing that arm out, okay? Whereas you watch this right side, and I think this is so impressive. Like I said, the breathing arm tends to be the one that can slip and slide. You watch, it gives her balance to take that breath, holding water, then that elbow pops straight up, and the arm pulls really straight and strong. So there's kind of no wiggle through the stroke. Now what else is interesting? Can you see there's a potential slight change in the position of that wrist here? So the whole time she's actually holding water, okay, and then it turns in to come out. But can you see here, where is it? That slight flexion. She's just got a hold of that water, just world class, right? Alrighty, and then finally, one of the most interesting parts of Lani's stroke is this very unique, very effective 2-beat balance style kick. So she kind of enters opposite, but watch this wall. So she comes out, huge 6-beat kick, and then returns straight to that 2-beat. So I have not seen many athletes, or maybe I've just missed the boat here, but just look at the transition and the skill that Lani has moving from a 6-beat into a 2-beat. So let's watch that again. She comes out of that turn, very high powerful kick, then resumes a 2-beat. Now again, there is a big difference in the two athletes here. Remember when we talked about the head position, Lani looks quite down versus Erica forward. Erica also maintains quite a high cadence kick versus Lani, who's got this distinctive 2-beat style. Okay, so this is an example of Lani's 2-beat freestyle here. We're going to do it in half time because what I find really interesting is the kick size is also slightly different. If you watch the left kick, it's more of a flick, whereas there's more flexion in the right side. So we can see here, as Lani breathes, this kick and pull is so powerful. As I mentioned earlier, she gets into that high catch position super early, but watch as she prepares for that kick at the start of the catch. You can see the right arm bending, the knee flexes, and there's a powerful down kick as the arm comes past the midline. So this is creating a really powerful forward surge in Lani's stroke. So we'll take her back to that first shot. Okay, so the right hand enters as the left kicks down. This gives her balance in the stroke. So right enters, left down. As the right starts that catch, you can see the bent elbow here. The knee is just starting to flex. And you can see as she finishes that catch and starts to pull, the kick has finished too. But you look at the amount of flexion in this right knee here, it is a lot more powerful than the knee flexion on the other side. So this is quarter time. The left kick is kind of more just for balance as she gets the breath, whereas the right arm and the right kick are providing so much propulsion. And you can see the way she throws her head down there as she finishes that right stroke. I just think this is a fantastic and quite unique example of freestyle. The fact that Lani is swimming under 4 minutes here with a 2-beat, it just looks so effortless. So in summary, this is a pretty cool look at a unique stroke. Lani swimming a 3:59.5 here. She's taking about 42 strokes every lap, holding over a 90 strokes per minute cadence. So I hope this helps. This is such a cool freestyle to look at. I think the mix of that core control and the timing of that kick is just fantastic. And finishing with that 6-beat and throwing in a couple of breathing every 4s down the last lap, very, very impressive.